guys, my name is Caitlin and welcome back to my Consciously Cultured YouTube channel where I teach you how to make fermented foods at home. So today I'm going to be talking about milk kefir. So milk kefir is a fermented yogurt drink that we see in most supermarkets these days, and it is thought to have originated in the Caucasus Mountains on the border of Georgia and Russia many moons ago. It's thought that the goat herders that carried their goat's milk in these leather sacks one day opened up these leather sacks to find that their goat's milk had fermented. And within that goat's milk, they found these little milk kefir grains, which are basically gelatinous looking cottage cheese like structures that are made from bacteria and yeast that live in symbiosis together. They're also referred to as a SCOBY, so symbiotic cultures of bacteria and yeast. And it's thought that the conditions were just perfect for these to form and grow and ferment the milk and increase its longevity. So fast forward to today, we use these very same grains to inoculate dairy or goat's milk to make milk kefir. So milk kefir has many amazing benefits. Probably the most known is the fact that it's a great source of live microbes that can be good for your gut. And there are many more microbes in milk kefir compared to that of yogurt, and also compared to that of the mass-produced milk kefirs in the supermarkets. Homemade has many more microbes. It's a great source of vitamins and minerals, so things like calcium. These vitamins and minerals are a lot more readily available because the microbes have broken them down so that our bodies can access them a lot more easily. Milk kefir is also lower in lactose, so I have spoken to a few people that suffer with lactose intolerance but can handle milk kefir because that lactose has almost been pre-digested for them. So when they consume it, it's easier for them to digest that lactose. I love this if I've got a sore throat. I have a little bit of milk kefir and it really helps soothe my throat. And I've spoken to other people who said the same as well. Also, it's just really delicious. And if you're consuming this every day, it's a lot more cost effective to be making at home. And it's a lot easier to make than traditional yogurt. So, as I mentioned, these are the milk kefir grains. So when you want to make milk kefir, you do need to get the milk kefir grains from somewhere. I sell the grains on my website, so deliafermentedfoods.com. Or if you have friends that are making milk kefir, you could ask if you could be given a teaspoon of grains to get started. That's a great thing about milk kefir is it creates a community around these live cultures because you have to know somebody that's making the milk kefir, and that knowledge and those grains are passed on generationally, which I think is really incredible. So if you get your grains from me, you will be given 5 grams of grains. 5 grams of grains makes approximately 250 ml of milk kefir. So when your grains arrive, for me, I always provide the grains fresh, so you don't have to worry about rehydrating them. I would always recommend looking for fresh grains. Once you've got your 5 grams of grains, which is approximately a teaspoon, you've got to get yourself a glass jar. You can see here I'm using an old bulb bean jar, so you really don't have to be specific with the type of jar that you use. You just want to give it a good wash in hot soapy water and a good rinse to get any residue out. I don't sterilise my jars for this. You can if you want to, but it's not necessary. So all you need to do is pop your 5 grams of grains in your jar. And then, because we're making 250 ml of milk kefir, you just need 250 ml of milk. So I like to use whole milk. Organic is great if you have it, but just normal milk will work. I'm using Trewithen Dairy because it's local to me. I'm here in Cornwall. I like to use whole milk because it gives a thicker, creamier milk kefir. You can use skimmed, you can use semi-skimmed, but you'll find your milk kefir will be a lot more watery. And I do prefer a thicker, creamier milk kefir. So I'm doing this by eye. So you want to pour in approximately 250 ml of your milk. Pop your lid on or a cloth cover on. I've done both methods. They work absolutely fine, both of them. So it's entirely up to you. You'll hear some people swear by putting your lid on. Some swear by needing it open. It's up to you. So I will then sit this on my kitchen counter for 24 to 48 hours, depending on how hot my kitchen is. So the hotter it is, the quicker this will ferment. And the colder it is, the longer it will take to ferment. I have found that sometimes in the hot summer months, so we're in August now, there's been some really hot periods where my kitchen has been reaching about 28 degrees-ish with the cookers on and things. I could be making my milk kefir in the evening and by the next morning it's ready. So you just want to keep an eye on it. So room temperature for 12 hours, 24, 48, depending on the temperature. You will have to play around with what works for you in your kitchen. So I'll bring it over one that is ready, just so you can see the difference. So you can see here the milk is very runny, and this finished milk kefir, you can see, is thick and almost set. So I don't know if I can pour it there. You can see it's very thick. So the signs to tell when your milk kefir is ready. So have a look. Has the milk thickened? It may even start separating into curds and whey. Take the lid off, give it a smell. It might smell a little yeasty. And then obviously a taste. So milk kefir has a slight sourness to it. It's a great way of knowing when your milk kefir is ready. Once you're happy and you're happy, you know when your milk kefir is ready, you simply want to give it a stir, give it a good stir. And then you want to separate those milk kefir grains from the milk kefir. So all you're going to need is a sieve and a jug, and then you want to pour it through. So particularly when you're using kind of whole milk, you'll find that the milk kefir becomes a little bit gloopy and thick. So you really want to push the grains into the sieve. Milk kefir grains are really robust, so you're not going to harm those grains in any way, shape or form. What I find is sometimes people don't push the grains into the sieve enough, and what happens is there's a lot of residue milk kefir still on the grains, so when they make their next batch is very sour. So it really is good practice, really push the grains through. I like to scrape the underneath because there's often residue of milk kefir there, and just carry on pushing those grains through. And so this liquid that's in the jug here is your finished milk kefir. So you can see it's thick, creamy, really, really delicious. This milk kefir can go in a bottle and stored in the fridge, and I would consume within a week to 2 weeks, just because it will continue to ferment. Even though the grains have been separated from the milk kefir, this has now been inoculated with those very same microbes. So it will continue to ferment over time. So the longer you leave it in the fridge, the more it's going to ferment. So it's not going to make it unsafe to consume, but it will make it very sour, which a lot of people don't like. If if your milk kefir goes sour though, really, really sour, you don't need to throw it away. You can just use it in another way. So for the most part, I like to use milk kefir on my granola. I make smoothies with it, a little bit of honey with some fresh fruit. This is really great to get milk kefir into your kids because it's a little bit more palatable. You can have it as a gut shot in the morning. You can use it in baking, but I've also made cream cheese with it, so soft cheeses with it as well. It's a great way of using up really sour milk kefir, because it kind of, cream cheese we know has a slight tang to it, which this milk kefir has when left too long. I've made cultured butter as well with it. I will do some other videos on that if you are interested. But it's so diverse, milk kefir. It's why I love it. It really, really is. So that's your finished milk kefir. Those grains that we have just strained off now can be returned back to your glass jar and topped up with milk, so the 250 ml of milk roughly. What you will find over time is your milk kefir grains will grow and multiply. So I only give you 5 grams of grains, but that is because they're going to grow and multiply quite quickly. So I recommend every couple of weeks or so, you can probably gauge it by eye, weighing your grains, because if your grains have grown and multiplied and you're still using the same amount of milk, your milk kefir will become very sour because there's more microbes breaking down the sugars. So if you're wanting to maintain your 250 ml of milk kefir every 24 hours, you need to make sure that it's always that 5 grams of grains roughly. So weighing them is good practice, and then you can get rid of the excess if it's there, or you can make larger batches. So you know, if you've got 10 grams of grains, you can then do 500 ml of milk to make 500 ml of milk kefir. So you can work up in those increments or discard the excess to maintain what you're already making. If you want a break from making milk kefir, you can put your grains in a little bit of milk like this, and you can pop them in the fridge right away. They will still carry on fermenting, but at a much slower rate. So they can be in the fridge in the milk for about 2 weeks without a fresh feed. So if you're going on holiday or you just need a little bit of a break, that many of us do in the summer, because it does run away with us a bit, the milk kefir, in the fridge. If you're going away for a longer length of time or you need a break, you can strain your grains off from the milk, put them in a little sandwich bag and freeze them. I probably wouldn't freeze them any longer than about 6 months, just because it's going to be a little bit harder to reinvigorate those milk kefir grains. With that, when you take those grains out of the freezer, they might take a few days of fresh milk to reactivate them, so don't panic. You just need to persevere with that. Also, when you're putting your grains back in your jar, so you saw I did here, I didn't bother washing my jar. You can do, obviously this residue is going to slightly impact how quickly your milk kefir will ferment, because the residue are the live microbes. But if you're short on time, because we want to make this as easy as possible, you don't need to worry about washing your jar between every batch of milk kefir. This is perfectly safe. It's nice and acidic. It's not going to harm you. With regards to the type of milk you're using, I always recommend animal milk. So for the best, most nutritious form of milk kefir, animal milk is going to be your best friend. So that could be goat's milk or it could be cow's milk. For the longevity of your grains, you do need the animal milk. I've seen some blog posts that have shown you can kind of feed your grains with various different non-dairy substances, but even they suggest that over time your grains become less healthy, and so animal milk, is what you're going to need. You can do odd batches of non-dairy milk kefir, so you could do a batch of coconut milk or soya milk or whatever milk. After that has made your non-dairy milk kefir, those grains then need to be put back into animal milk to have a fresh feed. So you could do it like that, swap, give it a refeed with animal milk between your batches of non-dairy. But to be honest, if you're wanting a non-dairy alternative, water kefir is what you're going to want to look at. They're a different type of kefir grain. I'll do another video on that, but it's got very similar microbial composition to milk kefir, and there's no dairy or animal products involved at all. So I think that's probably your best bet. Anyway, let's stop the rambling now. That's a whistle-stop tour of milk kefir. I hope you've enjoyed the video. As I say, if you want to get hold of grains, you can get them from my website, deliafermentedfoods.com. I am going to be running a fermented dairy workshop on Sunday, the 19th of October. So we're going to go through milk kefir, soft cheeses, cultured butter, cultured cream. If that's something you're interested in, you could head over to the website, deliafermentedfoods.com, for that as well. I hope you've liked the video. If you have, please like, subscribe, and comment if there's any other videos you'd like me to share. Anyway, thanks for watching and happy fermenting. Bye.